The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. All right, welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky.
We are talking about the Bears as they get ready for the game against the Packers up in Green Bay. And the Packers are 2-1. They had a come-from-behind win last week. Aaron Rodgers did his thing with a couple minutes left, as he more often than not he does. And they ended up beating Cincinnati, who had a pretty good showing, surprisingly, but still lost, which is, the typical Cincinnati thing to do.
I'm surprised they played as well as they did. Like, new offensive coordinator that week. You're playing at Green Bay against Aaron Rodgers, and I think they look better than a lot of people thought.
I think it was 21-7 or 21-10 at halftime. So Cincinnati put up 3 touchdowns in the first half.
One of them was a pick six.
That's right. Yeah, they have an interesting defense. I know their defense is always like on the waiver wire, is always like a good option to pick up on fantasy teams, but I mean, I don't have them, but we'll see how they go. And then of course the Bears had a good showing against the Steelers, so they're both coming off wins, which is something. I would predict, we can give a score prediction before the game starts in a few minutes. I'm assuming Green Bay is going to win. I don't think the Bears are going to wet the bed, though. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like we saw a couple years ago.
Don't bring that game up.
I don't think we're going to see that. I don't think we'll ever see that again, at least
I certainly hope
for a really long time. I'm going to say, I think it's going to be a tight game. That Packers defense is not good, so that gives hope to guys like Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard, who tore up a Steelers defense that's always been consistently pretty good. So I think it'll be close, but I think the Packers are going to end up winning. I have to pick the Packers, so I'm going to say Packers 24, Bears 14. I think the Bears get 2 TDs, probably both from Howard/Cohen.
That's close to what I was going to go with. I was going 27-17.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think that's pretty good. I think one of us will be right. I feel like one of us will be exactly right. So we'll see, 24-14 or 27-17. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, because like if I was going to that game, I obviously wouldn't want to see a blowout. I'd want to see a good showing. So I wouldn't be expecting them to win, but. And also, by the way, the Brewers played a game at 3:00 today, and I guess that was solely because of the Packers game later on tonight. They want. That's what I heard, because I have MLB Network at home, and the game was on there. All the wild card games coming down the stretch are pretty much on MLB Network. So, the Brewers announcer, he's really good, by the way, which I think you...
Brian Anderson, yep.
Yeah.
He called the series, the Cubs and Cardinals series in the 2015 NLDS.
That's right, and that was on TBS, so I wonder if he'll be back this year. It's certainly possible, because the Cubs games are on TBS this year again, because they switch off every other year between TBS and Fox Sports 1. So... yeah, he was really good, but yeah, he mentioned that in the broadcast in like the first inning. So I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. I don't think they would ever do that in Chicago, have a scheduling change. And plus, I don't know how mad or not upset Cincinnati was about that. But if I was the Reds, to be like, yo, why are we changing the game so late? Like, we want our fans to be able to watch this at night. Even though we suck, we still want our fans to watch. And at 3 p.m, not as many people are going to be watching.
Yeah, that's true. I could see the Cubs doing it just so they could flex a different game to a night game.
Probably.
Since they have the limited number of night games. They could do that, except they would be like, oh, we want to change this one to a night game, not so that people can watch the Bears.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, if the Bears were good, it'd be a different story. So, we'll see. I just thought that was interesting. Also, I don't know if you've been hearing, as we're getting ready for the Bears to start, we'll keep you up to date on everything, but as we're waiting, for any big plays or something like that, which we probably won't see. I know you've heard about this, the whole NCAA basketball scandals that are going on right now.
It makes you wonder how many programs don't have any scandals going on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and if you look at all these, all these different sports, the only ones that don't have a lot of corruption are the MLB and hockey, as far as I can tell. I mean, the NBA also doesn't really have things like that. The NFL has, some controversy here and there as far as hiding CTE stuff and not really,
well, and also their players are always getting arrested and being accused of domestic violence.
There's a lot of off the field issues. You don't really get it in the MLB, very rarely, and you definitely don't see it in hockey. So yeah, but you look at FIFA, they had all these embezzlement scandals and money laundering and all that.
Right. I mean, the NFL, the ones that come to mind are Spygate, Deflategate.
Yeah, and then all
things involving the Patriots,
right.
And then the Falcons using recorded like an actual crowd noise over the loudspeaker to make the noise louder.
Yeah, and then of course the domestic violence issues, which we said too, because I mean, yeah, that is a problem, obviously, in the NFL, and then also the whole concussion things where Roger Goodell was. At one point, he's starting to, express that there's problems, but, he used to say, our helmets prevent concussions, and he used to say, all these things. He didn't have all the right information. But, yeah, going back to this NCAA scandal, I think you're right. I think, if they really wanted to, the people who are doing these investigations and prosecute, I think they could probably find things wrong with almost every program. And that's the thing.
Right, football and basketball. I remember the whole Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky scandal.
Yes. Now, that obviously is a lot different and terrible.
That's getting some of the worst of the worst.
But, yeah, as far, all these shoe deals and stuff and all these players that sign places. So what happened, it kind of had, the thing with Louisville and Rick Pitino kind of has a DePaul connection, a Chicago connection, in the fact that the player that was involved with that was a good player on the same high school team that DePaul recruit was from La Lumiere in Indiana. So
the guy in middle school?
No. La Lumiere Prep. It's a high school. So
okay, not that guy that just out of the blue committed.
No, that was just weird. But yeah, it had to do with that recruit. He was really good. And he played with Tiger Campbell, and yeah, he goes to Louisville, and they apparently paid I don't really have all the details, but they paid I think $250,000 to him over the course of I don't know how much time, and then Rick Pitino, the day after they landed him, Rick Pitino went on the air on a local radio show in Kentucky, and he said, we got really lucky. I don't know how we got him. He came here, they paid their way, and they paid for hotel and food and blah, 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 and it was just all a lie. They paid for everything, and obviously Rick Pitino knew about it, and then you go back a few years ago, they had that whole scandal with an on-campus brothel for the players who were coming to visit, could go to entice them to come to the school, and I mean, they were handing out money, and they're making illegal shoe deals with Adidas and all of this. Adidas is turning into a dirty company, is sort of what we've seen so far. I mean, they've been in trouble with a lot of stuff, so it's just really interesting. Yeah, the NCAA. I mean, we always knew that the NCAA was never clean. There's always been problems with it, but it has been a lot of problems. And yeah, I used to like Rick Pitino a lot, and he used to be in the Big East Conference, so I was paying attention to that. But yeah, he really turned into a sleazeball. It's kind of interesting, and I wonder how many other programs are going to get caught. I feel like this is just the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, it really opens your eyes, and it makes you think, well, how far do some of these schools go to recruit players?
Yeah, I think they definitely go over the line, and that's a problem. The other schools that were involved was a team with Arizona, which really disappointed me because I love Arizona's coach, Scott Miller. And I think he's a really good coach. He's the guy that coached Lauri Markkanen, who's on the Bulls now. And Auburn was also involved in this investigation. No surprise there. Bruce Pearl had his own problems at Tennessee with those issues, so no surprise. And it's just it's kind of surprising. And I guess Rick Pitino is going to fight it. And I guess he says, according to him, he's not fired yet, even though they did kind of fire him and the athletic director. So I don't know how
it was only announced that he was fired.
Yeah, but I guess he's not going to go down without a fight, and that's kind of upsetting because he's caught. He's caught in the lie, and he continues to lie. He won't, he won't set the record straight. I can't get over. He goes on the air on the radio a day after he gets the commitment from Brian Bowen, and they talk about how he got so lucky and how it was a shock to me that he came here and blah 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 when they were in cahoots the whole time. So what 17, 18-year-old says no to that much money? That's the thing. They're taking advantage of these younger kids who have great talent, but they're taking advantage of them. And with a clean program like Gonzaga, for instance, or a team that because they went to the national championship last year, a team like Northwestern who's getting it together. You just won't see it with them. And it's these bigger programs, it's these sleazeball coaches who care more about themselves and they care about the money, or that they care about the players and everything. All they care about is the money. So it's not a good situation for them to be in. And Louisville, they're going to get a postseason ban for who knows how long, which
and well deserved.
Which opens the door for a good team that probably a team from a bigger conference like the Big East, or also the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Pac-12. It opens up the door for some of those teams who have been on the bubble every year, knocking on the door trying to get in. It opens up the door for them to make the tournament, which would be well deserved. So we'll see how it goes. It'll be something to definitely watch, and I think we're going to be seeing people being more careful now, especially in football, because this is kind of the formal warning to college football now. Like, it happened in basketball, and now it's coming for you next. So
yeah, you just assume that a lot of these programs are doing it. In some programs, like Alabama, they probably don't need to do that because it's Alabama.
Right. It's a little different there, yeah. And it depends. You just got to do it the right way, and it shouldn't be that hard to follow the rules. But when there's a lot of money involved, and when there's some bad people involved, it gets hard. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll keep you updated on the Bears. I think the Packers have a 3-1 right now on Chicago's 31, so they're already in field goal range. So we'll keep you up to date on what happens there. You're listening to the Sports Renegades on SportsTownChicago.com. The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.